Okay, let's just dive right in. That feeling,
Yeah.
you know the one. You've got an idea, maybe a project starting, something you want to create.
Yeah, that initial spark.
Exactly.
Mm.
And then, bam, the sheer weight of the online world just hits you. You scroll, you see all the polished stuff, the endless comments.
Uh-huh. And that little voice starts, it's all been done, or mine won't be good enough.
Right. Analysis paralysis. You're stuck before you even, properly start.
It's such a common thing now, and that's really what we're digging into today, isn't it? The whole psychological side, the cultural shifts, basically what it means to create stuff in this digital age. We're leaning heavily on our source material, creation.pdf, to unpack it.
Yeah, and look, this isn't just for people who call themselves artists. If you write an email you care about, if you share an opinion, heck, even designing a presentation,
Mm.
you're in this creative space too.
Absolutely. It applies broadly.
So in this deep dive, we'll be looking at the pressure of being so visible all the time, this idea of whether it's okay to be imperfect, how we act as consumers now.
And that whole culture of moral outrage online, definitely. Plus, finding that balance, between being discerning and just letting people express themselves.
Our goal really is to pull out the key stuff from the source that
Mm.
helps you understand what's going on. Maybe feel a bit more empowered to, engage with it all, whether you're making things or just taking them in.
Right. So where should we start? Maybe the internal landscape, what's happening in our heads?
Yeah, good idea. The source calls it a pressure cooker of visibility. That feels pretty accurate.
It does.
Think about just scrolling Instagram or TikTok. It's like a nonstop parade of perfection, or at least curated moments. It's so easy to fall into comparing your messy reality with their shiny output.
And then you've got the algorithms. They often seem to push the most extreme stuff or things that are already huge.
Uh-huh. And the feedback. Let's just say audience comments can be pretty brutal sometimes. It can feel less like sharing and more like bracing for impact.
Yeah, definitely. And psychologically, there's some basic human things getting dialed way up online. Social comparison theory is a big one mentioned in the source.
Right. We naturally compare ourselves.
Yeah, I do. But online, the comparison points are often, frankly, unrealistic. It's the top 1%, the viral hits, the stuff that looks effortless but isn't.
Yeah.
It sets this impossible bar.
Yeah, and that just breeds that feeling of, I'm not good enough. Makes total sense.
And then there's our negativity bias. It's like our brains are hardwired to focus on the bad stuff.
Oh, totally. You get 50 nice comments and one mean one. Guess which one sticks?
Exactly. Velcro for the bad, Teflon for the good, as they say. That one negative comment can just echo.
Mm-hmm.
And this can feed into what the source talks about perfectionism as protection.
Ah, right. Like if I make it absolutely perfect, then no one can criticize me.
Precisely. It's a shield, but a really counterproductive one. Have you ever, held back on sharing something, even something small, just because it didn't feel 100% perfect?
Guilty as charged. Absolutely. That endless tweaking cycle. Just one more change.
And suddenly hours have passed.
Which brings us to a really fundamental question the source raises. Do we have the right to create imperfectly? It brings up that Wayne Gretzky quote.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah. A great quote.
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it?
It really does. Creation isn't about instant perfection. It's about, taking the shot. It's a numbers game, in a way. You need attempts. You need risk.
And it's like a muscle, right?
Right.
The source says that too. Your creativity gets stronger the more you actually do it.
Exactly. It requires practice. And honestly, in today's world, just putting something out there, that first draft, that early idea, that takes real courage.
Because that fear of judgment is always kind of lurking. But the material makes a strong point. The imperfect creation isn't just okay, it's vital.
Yeah, how so?
Or for one, it makes the whole thing feel more human. Seeing only polished perfection is super intimidating if you're just starting. You feel like you can never get there.
Right. It creates this impossible standard. But seeing something flawed, something that shows the effort, that can actually be really inspiring.
Yeah, like, hey, they tried that. Maybe I could try something too. It lowers the barrier.
Makes it feel accessible.
Yeah.
And think historically, the source points this out really well. Movements like impressionism, punk music, zines.
Yeah, they were all considered kind of rough, maybe even junk at first by the establishment.
Exactly. They weren't following the rules. They weren't perfect according to the standards of the time, but that's what made them revolutionary.
That rawness was the point in many ways.
So if we only ever valued slick, finished, conforming stuff, we'd kill off innovation. Real creativity needs that room to be messy, to experiment, to make mistakes.
Perfectionism can be a real creativity killer.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's flip this. What about us as the audience, the consumers? The source argues that platforms have sort of trained us to be constant critics.
That's a really interesting observation. Think about it. Star ratings, thumbs up, down, endless recommendation
You
feed.
swipe left, swipe right?
Yeah, even the speed of short-form video encourages instant judgment. We're conditioned to evaluate constantly.
And the source suggests this can breed a kind of entitlement, like an expectation that everything should be exactly to my taste right now.
Yeah. And that can lead straight into echo chambers, right? Where we only see stuff that confirms what we already like or believe.
And we get less tolerant of anything different.
Potentially, yes, and maybe quicker to just dismiss things. If it doesn't grab you in 2 seconds, it's gone, deemed unworthy.
But is that actually a healthy way to engage? That's the question the document sort of pushes us towards.
Probably not, from a bigger picture view. The source reminds us, hey, not everything created is meant to be universally loved, or just simple entertainment.
Some stuff is meant to make you think or feel uncomfortable or see things differently.
Exactly. So maybe our role as consumers could be less about instant judgment and more about, I don't know, curiosity, discernment, recognizing not everything is for us.
Which leads neatly, or maybe messily, into this whole issue of creation versus moral outrage culture, as the source puts it.
Ah, yes, that thing where reactions online seem completely disproportionate to the actual creative work.
Why does that happen?
Well, the source suggests one key reason is how tightly content gets linked to our identities online. If someone sees a piece of art or reads an opinion, that clashes with their core values.
It feels like a personal attack.
It can, yeah. And the creator becomes the focus of that feeling, the target.
And the algorithms pour fuel on that fire, right? Because outrage drives clicks and comments.
Absolutely. Emotionally charged content gets amplified. Engagement is engagement, positive or negative.
It doesn't matter why people are engaging.
Not to the algorithm, often. And the source uses this great phrase, the moralization of aesthetics. Meaning, when someone dislikes something creative, it's not just bad taste or not for me. It gets framed as morally wrong, harmful, dangerous even.
Wow. Okay, and that creates this climate of snap judgments, performative call-outs.
Yeah, performative critique is part of it. Showing your own moral alignment by loudly condemning something. And it puts this insane pressure on creators to somehow predict every single possible interpretation or emotional reaction, which is impossible.
Utterly impossible. So this brings us to that tightrope walk. Discernment versus free expression. Where's the line? Who decides what's junk versus valuable or even harmful?
The source is pretty nuanced here. It stresses, look, not everything has to be a masterpiece or change the world. Doodles, remixes, playing around with ideas that has value too. It's part of the process.
Right, it doesn't all need a grand purpose.
But, and this is crucial, intent does matter. If something is genuinely, demonstrably created to spread hate or cause harm,
Then critique is absolutely necessary.
of course. But the key is distinguishing between that and something that just makes us personally uncomfortable or challenges our views. My feeling offended doesn't automatically mean the creator had malicious intent.
That's a really important distinction. So discernment is about looking deeper, trying to understand context, intent.
Yeah, asking, is this harmful or just not for me? And the source argues we need more cultural space for the messy middle, for unfinished art, for ideas still cooking, for people learning out loud.
Okay, that makes sense. And the document goes further, offering some other really powerful ideas to chew on, like this one about the inner child and the right to play.
Oh, I love this part. It contrasts how kids create just pure joy, no shame, total abandon.
Yeah, making mud pies, drawing weird monsters.
Exactly. Versus how we often approach it as adults, burdened by perfectionism, worried about what others think, needing validation.
It's like we lose that playful instinct.
And the source asks, could that be part of this modern crisis of creation? Have we just forgotten how to play? And maybe as consumers, we could try seeing creation more as a process, like play, not just a final product up for judgment.
If everything has to be optimized, liked, monetized, where's the fun? Where's the exploration?
It poses that great question for you, the listener. When was the last time you made something just for the hell of it? No goal, no audience, just making.
Something to think about. Then there's this related idea, the decline of amateur culture.
Yeah, this really hit home for me. Remember zines, garage bands, early internet forums for fan fiction or niche hobbies?
Totally. It was all about sharing, connecting, the passion for the thing itself, not about getting famous.
But now, the pressure to go viral, to build a brand, it's immense. And just sharing can feel, well, almost quaint or even shameful if it doesn't get traction.
This weird shame and obscurity, as the source calls it, even though, like, everyone starts unknown.
And the shift is damaging. It kills niche joy, it discourages slow growth, it makes people afraid to share those rough early attempts that are so crucial. Maybe we need to consciously value that amateur spirit again.
Yeah, bring back the garage band vibe, digitally maybe.
Something like that. Another huge point. The algorithm is not a reflection of value. This is so important.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Right. Just because something doesn't get loads of likes or views doesn't mean it's bad or worthless, but boy does our brain take it that way sometimes.
Oh yeah, lack of engagement feels like rejection. Hard not to internalize it.
And we have to remember what algorithms often prioritize. Controversy, quick dopamine hits, trends, not necessarily depth or originality.
So really valuable, meaningful stuff can just get buried.
Easily. The source uses the analogy of the internet being more like a slot machine than a meritocracy. It's not always about quality winning out.
Which means, maybe as consumers, we need to be more active searchers. Look beyond the trending page.
Definitely. Seek out the stuff that isn't being shoved at you. Which connects to another idea. Consumers as co-creators.
How so?
The source suggests everyone has creative potential. And maybe, just maybe, when we don't engage our own creativity, we become more critical, maybe even resentful of those who do.
Huh. Like if I'm not making anything, why should they? Sort of thing.
Possibly. Or maybe just less empathetic to the struggle. The document suggests that participating, even in small ways, builds empathy. It asks you, the listener, have you tried creating lately? What stops you? And can you give others the same grace you'd want for yourself?
That's a powerful challenge. And for those who are creating but feeling stuck, there's that brilliant Ira Glass quote the source mentions.
Oh yeah, the one about taste versus skill. Your taste is killer, but your skill doesn't yet match your taste.
It's such a relief to hear that framed so clearly. That gap is normal. It's necessary even.
It's the engine of growth, the source argues. The real tragedy isn't making bad stuff early on. It's stopping because it doesn't match your amazing taste yet.
You got to make the bad stuff to get to the good stuff. Every great creator started somewhere, probably with work they cringe at now.
Exactly. Which ties into another tricky area, parasocial judgment and creator dehumanization.
The tendency to judge the creator's whole character based on their work or one mistake.
Yeah, people feel they know the creator intimately and hold them to these impossible moral standards. A slip-up isn't just an error, it's proof of deep character flaws.
It's like they forget the creator is a human being.
Totally dehumanizing sometimes. And the source makes us ask, is this demand for perfection in creators maybe about our own fear of imperfection? Are we projecting?
Oof. Deep question.
It is. Finally, there's this idea of the courage to create in public. The source uses this incredible analogy. Posting your work online today is like,
Walking into a stadium naked and asking the crowd to be kind.
wow, that hits hard, right? It captures the vulnerability. It's not just, did I make something cool anymore?
Now it's, will I get ridiculed?
Mm.
Is it politically okay? Am I likable enough? Is it marketable? So many layers.
It's a minefield, which makes the act of creating anyway, as the source puts it, incredibly brave.
So wrapping this up, thinking about you listening, what are the big takeaways? We've talked about the pressures, the perfectionism trap.
The importance of imperfect creation, the need for mindful consumption, not just instant critique.
And the value of your own creative spark, however small.
And please remember, the algorithm. Not the boss of value, not the final word. Look beyond it. Seek things out.
Yeah. And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. Creation, any kind, even just for yourself. It's kind of an antidote to just passively consuming.
It builds resilience, patience, humility maybe.
And it's a way of saying, I'm here, this
Yeah.
is my perspective, even if the only audience is you. So maybe
Yeah.
try a small, no-pressure creative thing in the next few days. Just see what happens.
Just play.